So in our history books on page 284, this is the last thing that we're going to read about. In fact, we probably won't finish. We're not going to be able to finish in time for a test. But it's something that you should think about, because everything that we've been talking about in history was something that happened a long time ago, right? The Civil War was like, whoa, way back when. But on page 284, it says the modernization of America. Does anybody know what that word means? Modernization. Have you heard that word before? Zuri, you want to give it a shot?
Sure. I think it might mean modernization. Like, it can kind of be like a modern, like you can be making something modern.
That's exactly what it is. But it's making something modern. But what does that mean?
It means that it's making something that it used to look like.
Kind of. Malachi, you want to add to that? Quit muting yourself, please. What does that mean? What does modernization mean?
Modernization means the way how people made America today.
Yeah. So modern means something that happened recently, or something that is new in history. Can any of you think of things that are, so something that is modern is something that that wasn't around before. So can anybody think of some modern things? Kasha?
Phone.
Yeah, the phone, right? But imagine if you went back. Abraham Lincoln was a smart man, but imagine you went back and tried to explain to him what an iPhone is. Like, they would not, there was no context. There's no way they could understand it. Any other things that we would think of as modern? I hope nobody's doing their quiz right now. I hope people are listening and paying attention. So only Malachi and Kasha and Zuri can think of modern things. All right, Caleb?
The toilet?
Yeah. As silly as that may sound, back in the day, if you lived even in America in the 1800s and the 1700s, people used to have to go to the bathroom in either like a hole in the ground or in a bucket. And not only would that be super smelly and gross, but what do you think would happen if there was just like bathroom stuff all over, like in a serious way? If like, not only would it be like, oh, that smells, but what would be the problem if everybody's, number 1 through number 4 is out on the street? How is that a problem, Caleb? Will you just unmute yourself, because I can't do it anymore? How could that be a problem?
It'll pollute the air.
It'll pollute the air, and what do you think it will do to humans and people, Emiko?
People might step on it.
Yes, and why would that be bad? We're not thinking about stinky. Why would it be bad? It pollutes the air, that's true. Malachi, the two people who raise their hand all the time keep unmuting themselves. Go ahead, Malachi.
Okay. The reason why it would be bad, because if the dogs, if you had some pets and they try to lick it wouldn't be good for them.
No, it wouldn't be good for anybody. People would get sick, right? So having a toilet is a modern thing, and having a toilet means people don't get sick as much. It means the cities are cleaner, right? So that's a modern thing. The internet is a modern thing, right? When I was a kid, there was the internet, but you couldn't do any of this. Like, you couldn't like go on a Zoom class. You couldn't play video games online with your friends. You could play like Super Mario Brothers at your house, and that's it. So technology is a modern thing. Here's a tough question, and it might be a little too tough for third graders. This is something that we would discuss in middle school, but I'm going to ask you because you're smart. What do you think are some ideas that are modern? Not like things like phones and computers, some ideas that are modern that came around later in history rather than early. Zuri?
Maybe what was it called again? The wheelbarrows?
Yeah, but we're thinking of thoughts, not things, right? So you could say cars, planes, computers, all of those things are modern. I want to think of ideas that are modern. Taj, any thoughts, any ideas? I'll give you a second to come back to you, Taj. I want you to try and participate. Kasha?
Okay. I think an idea was the light bulb, maybe?
Yes, but you guys are still thinking of things, right? Like the light bulb is a thing. You had an idea, but then they made it. I'm talking about like beliefs, things that you can't touch or grab or hold that might be modern things. Caleb?
A floating car?
Nope. Malachi?
I would say like keeping unusual pets if you were president, like Theodore Roosevelt did.
Yeah, I think maybe this is a bit too big of a question for you guys. That's all right. I'm just going to tell you. Okay, if you're wrong, then we're not going to have recess. All right, so Kasha? Are you going to stare at the screen or say something? Or?
But I don't want to cost them.
Okay, so then I'm just going to go. How about liberty, freedom, democracy? Do you think people in Jesus's time got to vote for stuff? No, right? Caesar was in charge. When Moses was like, Pharaoh, let my people go, could he put it on the ballot and all of the Egyptians vote for what would happen? What about equality? Today, do we believe that all people are equal? Yeah. Did they believe that when America first started? No, right? Even though they wrote it, they didn't believe it, right? They owned human beings. They sold them. So democracy, freedom, equality. Let me see. Let me turn off Emiko's screen. All of these things are modern ideas. So when we talk about modern America, we're not only talking about, computer mouse and an airplane and light bulbs. All of those things are modern, but also modern ideas. Should everybody be treated equal? Should people be judged based on the color of their skin or their gender? No, these are all modern ideas. But modernization took a long, long time, right? It's not like one day everybody was like cowboys, and then the next day there was the internet and everybody was, playing Fortnite and listening to SoundCloud. It took a long, long time. It took hundreds of years. But so that's the last thing that we're going to talk about. And in 100 years, 150 years, human beings go from riding horses to landing on the moon. And that is a big, big change. All right, so you're going to take your quiz after school, but you have your test next Wednesday. I'm going to ask you some questions from the test right now. Can somebody raise their hand and tell me, Clara Barton cared for her blank when he was injured? Malachi?
She cared for her brother.
Her brother, that's true. You don't have to mute yourself, Malachi. I can do it. General Lee surrendered to Ulysses S. Grant at what house? What house? Caleb?
Virginia Penn Court?
That's a good guess. It is the Appomattox Courthouse. Appomattox Courthouse. Next question. Dwight L. Moody's home and church were destroyed in the Great Fire of what city? Ben?
Chicago.
Chicago. Chi-town. President Lincoln's famous speech given after an important battle of the Civil War was called the blank. What famous speech did Abraham Lincoln give? It is the Gettysburg Address. The Gettysburg Address. Ulysses S. Grant and Robert E. Lee attended what school? Zuri?
West Point Military Academy.
Very good. That is the full name, West Point Military Academy. True or false? The general of the Confederate Army was Robert E. Lee. After the war, Robert E. Lee became the 18th president of the United States. Kasha?
You muted me.
False.
False. That is true. It was Ulysses S. Grant. Number 13. After the Civil War, an amendment was added to the Declaration of Independence saying that slavery is not allowed in the United States. Zuri?
True.
No, that is false. It was not the Declaration of Independence. Do you know what was amended? Zuri?
A proclamation
No, it was the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution. All right, at the end of the Civil War, General Lee encouraged his men to help rebuild America. True or false? Emiko?
True.
That is true. Last question before we go to break. Harriet Tubman helped many people, including her family, find their way to freedom. Taj? I don't know what he's saying. Taj?
True.
That is true. All right, you guys are on your